Alright, looking at beginning from Dixie, as we can see, and as we all know, this has always been my view on the Dixie to downside. Although I expected some push from this point to this point before the drop, but unfortunately, the drop happens before. So I'm looking at price. We are already in this technical range, so I expect that Dixie would pull back deeper into this zone before making its way higher. But I have some uh, issues with this zone because this zone entirely is liquidity as per double bottom. But that's just my view. I'm bullish on NZD because they still rate restrictively and their data is not that bad entirely. Aussie also I'm kind of neutral to bullish just because of their last recent data was quite bad. Next week we have inflation from Aussie and market is pricing 3.3% from 3.8. As we can see, it was dropping from 4.6 and now we're at 3.8. So surprising weakness for Aussie, except this comes out very surprisingly. Mm, we have the Tokyo inflation, so if it comes lower, then the yen will still continue to weaken. But if you go higher, we expect a strong yen. We'll get to the chart on that GDP for the card, and then upper week we have the NZD, the official cash rate that will be on September 2nd. So first week of September, we should be having a whole lot of uh, things to change the market entirely. So if we look at it, so looking at the yen, I am entirely bullish on the yen, which we know what this is a demand area, which I expect price to react from because this broke the structure, so these are rich. But looking carefully is price can react anywhere from this point, anywhere from here, and start going to the upside. And we have this low, we have this high. So technically, you might see price even push higher. If we see this, we short one more time, and then if we can see a change, we can start looking for longs. The range is quite large enough. So the yen is still weak. In my opinion, CAD is somehow strong. The euro is somehow stronger than the pound, but as per rate differentials, the pound is stronger than the euro. Starting with Aussie, Aussie has been bullish as we've talked about it, and it has arrived deeper into the supply zone, although we still have the other supply zone. So looking at it on 4 hours time frame, our zone is quite clear. This is our range. This is perfect. So if there is an opportunity to see price, I would like to see price do this, and then we can take our shots because I know this would be liquidity. That is liquidity already. So that would be a target. That would be a very fantastic one. But I'm not too sure entirely because of dollar weakness. So a price might even go higher into this other supply. So we'll just be waiting for confirmation. And that's for the Aussie. I have the pound, USD. So these are the futures. Now looking at this from a weekly perspective, price is supposed to continue higher. And can we consider this point, this area, an area of liquidity? Probably. So is this a liquidity grab? Probably too. Well, looking at it from this perspective, this is our range, this is our high, and then this is our low. If this is a grab of liquidity, then this should walk deeper into the zone. But if not, then I will consider price coming to this point. So we have this break already. That's not a close above the previous one. So I would like to see a clear price to this downside. The range is big enough because if you can look at this from your 15 minutes, it's clean. Looking at USD JPY, if we look at this from a monthly time frame, we can see that we are clearly in a downtrend for the yen futures. This is the yen futures, so it's the opposite of the USD JPY. We can see, as we've said, this is our range, this is a low. Now we've created, sorry, that's the high. We've created a new high, and then this is our low, and we expect price to continue to the downside. So remember, the yen is still in our perspective. So USD JPY, I'm still looking at price coming one time lower before price goes to the upside if that happens. We're looking at it from a 4 hour time frame. This can you consider this a break of structure? If that's the case, then we'd like to see a break to the upside because the range has been broken. But I'm looking at this as this is a low, this is a high. Technically, I'm looking for a low, a pullback. So if I can see a pullback, a break to the downside, and then I might look for longs from here because of the yen strength. It depends. And then finally, on the dollar pairs, I'll be looking at the USD Swiss. On the monthly, I've said that we are too high, so we expect a pullback to the downside. Looking at this, I have this imbalance point somewhere here. Looking at the weekly, this is our range. So this is the range. This is the range the market is playing in right now. Note that this is also a range of high, and then this is the low that broke this previous structure. So technically, price might go as deep as this point. So we'll be looking at longs that Swiss strength against the dollar. And for such reason, if that's the range, this is a point of like price reacts from that point or this point. So if price is here, it means this is a high and then this is a low. So which means we are going to see pullback here before we can take longs. So on the 4 hours, remember last from the previous point I talked about this short, but yes, it did not close uh, below this point. So price has now boosted to the upside. So we'll be looking at pullback, then can long prices reacting from the point. Yes. So that's my view on the Swiss. And we can now look at indices because it's actually more interesting than the currency page to me. The first one we have on the list is the JP225. So looking at this on the monthly, it is bullish, yes, but we're looking technically at a bearish pullback. This is a pullback to the downside. And why am I calling this a pullback? It's because I'm looking at this as the high, I'm looking at it as the low, I'm looking at this as the high, and I'm looking at the points. They should be the low to continue higher. So which means price is supposed to go to the downside. And this was the break we had. We had this as a break. So this is the bearish leg on its own, and then this is supposed to continue this way. So with this, we now have price breaking structure here. So technically, we might see price do deeper movements, and then this would be a very good shot for me. That's how I'll be looking at it. Yes, that is for the JP225, for the US 30 on the weekly, monthly. It's bullish, clearly very bullish on the weekly. It is also still bullish. So remember, this was the range we were talking about. This is still the range, and price continue to the upside. Alright, so this is a high, this is a low. We were expecting this, and the market has been pulling down and down. So the question is this that is this a zone? So this would be the entire zone. I'll be watching this very carefully. And for such reason, this is has been going to the downside, and we have this point. So this is our low, this is our high. I would like a sell from here to this point, and if we see opportunity to long, we long. But if it breaks this point, I know price will bounce off here and continue at least to this point before we might maybe technically see this. So this is my view on the US 30. I have my German 40, which I've been talking about the previous shorts. Currently we are bullish and will continue to be bullish for the time being. On weekly, this is it, and then this is our range. This is a high, this is a low, this is technical high. We're looking at a low, so which means price should bounce off a supply zone, and it has broken the structure here. Perfect. So I'm looking at that zone as continuation, but price can come as high as this point for a short. So that will be very clear. We'll take this price to this point as the first target, but then we know that the lower zone is the main point of target for German 40. I also have the UK 100. Looking at it on the monthly, it's bullish and price is supposed to continue higher. Looking at the weekly, we are bullish, which I mentioned on the day that this is a zone that should push price to the upside. Yes, but the lower zone is also there, and been talking about it. This in my drawings as it lasts for the past 2 weeks, and price has done this. This was a short, then now we are now a break above. So this is the break, this is the low. The question is, are you buying here to the upside? Looking at this on the 1 hour, it is okay to buy from this demand. It's very okay to buy from that demand, but if you don't mind, you can just take this because it looks okay from this point. Um, it's not the best of hours, but at least it's something. So that will be a target for the UK 100, and let's go into the currencies. Looking at the first I have is the card or AUD card is the bullish, very clearly bullish. This is high or low. Yes, so this was the downside, no doubt. So this is the low, and this is like it's almost like a break, but we have a break, a pullback. This would be a good long opportunity for Aussie card. This is just my view on Aussie card. I have my same view on Aussie switch, which I've talked about this for the past few weeks. We are bullish on Aussie Swiss. This is the demand price bounced off, so I expect this high to be taken. I don't know, you can look for your lower time frame entries to the upside. Also, the AUDJPY is on my watch list, but I'm very skeptical because this is a high and then this is a low. So technically, this is a high. This is just a low to go on to create equal highs, right? But looking at this is a break to the downside, and then this is a final break to the downside. So which means this supply is a powerful supply too. Looking at the 4 hours, price has been rallying to the upside, no doubt. So it was clear it should rally to the upside. This was our range, and now we have this final range. This is high, this is a low. So price is in supply. We would like to see a change on the power to take the shot or your 15 minutes depending on how you look at price. So your criteria, if you look at the short and also the yen is actually bullish. So if you can see the shorts and it even breaks this point, then you know for real price is supposed to go to the downside. I have the BTC too. Looking at it on the weekly, yes, we talked about this short. It was supposed to be a short here, but um, I think Tuesday also. And technically, if we look at this, price was supposed to continue to the upside. Let me clear everything. But I took this position here. Price is supposed to continue to the downside, yes, but it fell somewhere here. Looking at it from the 4 hours, it fell to close below this point and broke structure to the upside. So this was a very clear break of structure. It means price is supposed to come back to a demand somewhere, but then there was a demand created here. So it means price is supposed to come and take this high. If you go to your 15 minutes time frame, it was very clear as to where price is and where price wants to head to. As you can see, it was very clear. So the demand held perfectly, and also we also had a change in the market structure. So that was that, and then this is your SL. Depends on how you look at it. This was a very good target, but the target was the other high of higher time frame. Yes, so this was it. It was a very good setup, and it continued to rally. So these are just once in a while setup. And price has come into a supply zone on the daily and the weekly, depends on how you look at it. So this is a supply, this is supply zone. If you look at these on your 3 months or on your 1 month, price is this is a break. This is a break. I consider this liquidity because this is the break of the range to the downside. It means price is supposed to bounce. Previous month, 3 months candle is bearish, telling us 3 months, 1 month, this is to the downside. Now, this is the next supply zone because the main first point of break was this point. So this broke and then this supply got mitigated somewhere, but it's not entirely mitigated. Though this is now the downtrend, this is a low, this is a high, it means I'm expecting price to go to the downside. But looking at this, price has bounced into the supply zone. So we can consider that there is a supply zone here internally. Would you consider this a liquidity grab at this point? Let's look at this point as a liquidity grab or a break of structure. So it will be confirmed, depends on how you look at the market. You might see this point and then this to drop all the way down here. So this is my view because this is the range I'm looking at. That's a view. And looking at it internally, you can use your 4 hours, your 1 hour. If we could see a change, it would be a fantastic one for a short all the way down to this point and to the lows of 56, 57k. That's my view. It's one of my high probabilities for the week, and cardio is quite interesting. So if you look at this from this angle, this is a high, that's a low, this is a range. So we are now in this high, and then we consider this a low. So it means price is supposed to go higher. That's the view. Looking at this technically, price is supposed to go higher, closed here, closed below previous the point, the range high. Now broke structure, or you call it liquidity grab. probably. So it means this is the range we are playing with. So we are looking at shots from this perspective. Going to our daily time frame, this was supposed to be push, this push. So the only problem I have is this point is liquidity, a high liquidity. So you might see price grab it entirely before changing. But remember that we are close to the supply, so this is the range we are playing technically. So this is our high. You just look for a change here. If there is a clear change, you can take your shot. So the target might belong on Euro AUD. It's quite interesting. The Euro AUD, we are bearish. Why? Because this is a bearish leg entirely. Going to the weekly, this was a graph of liquidity, a low, whatever you call it, but we know that price is a bearish leg. Looking at it, so if it's a grab, it has to go higher, but this failed, so price has gone on the downside. It means price should continue to the downside, and we had this low that was taken by this low, and then this is a range, so we expect price to continue lower. Unfortunately, we had price now continue lower from this point, which means there was a change in market structure from that time frame. So this was a low, this was a high, and then it fell to close below. It means price is supposed to go higher, which price did came to this zone. Quite nice. I expect that there should be a change from here to long. So that is my view on UAUD. But if by Monday, Tuesday there's a change here, you are taking your shots to continue this bearish leg. That is just a view. We also have the Euro card. It's not one of the cleanest of setups. I'm still bearish on the Euro card. Looking at the daily time frame, what I'll be waiting for is there is a break here. I will take shots, but due to the fact that Euro is kind of showing some strength, you remember this is supposed to be a low, but it also failed to close above and now it grabbed liquidity. So what I'll be looking out for is price coming back, breaking structure, and then I would like to long UJPY. As we can see, this is a high, this is a low, this is a high technically. So it means I expect price to come lower before going to the upside. Going to the D1, we've broken price to the downside. So price has grabbed liquidity that has broken structure, and I'm looking at a supply zone. So on the forward, we still simply we have this high, we have this low. So I expect if there is a break, take price to the downside. That is what I have for Euro NZD. We've been bullish, sorry, we've been bearish because this is our high, this is our low. It's very clear, and then this is our high. So it means we're expecting a low. We had this low that we expect thought it was supposed to go higher. It failed, broke structure to the downside. Liquidity graph failed. So I expect that they should be taken out to this point at least. And I consider New Zealand stronger than the euro. Looking at this, we talked about the supply zone some weeks ago. We had internal break of structure on the 4 hours. So this was the break. This was a pullback. We had this internal. So this I expect a pullback here to continue. That is for Euro NZD. For GBP AUD, as you can see, the GBP AUD is telling us that we expected price to continue lower. This is because this is our bullish range and we expected price to come to this point. So all this is internal low high. This is a low This is a high. We expected a low. But while trying to do that, it became complex, giving us now this low, this high, this low, and then finally this high. So we're looking at a low, we have a break. So technically, if price should pull back, it will be good for us to take price to the downside. We also have the pound card. Pound card is bearish in my opinion. We have this low here, we have this high. So I expect a pullback into this zone and a short. That's my view for the pound card. I have GBP NZD. Why? Because on the monthly we are bullish. This is bullish price action. Looking at this, this is high, this is a low, and then this is a bearish leg. So if that's a bearish leg, the previous weekly candle just wicked the low of that. If you go to your day, this was a grab of liquidity, and now I consider this a break. So if price pulls back into this D1 supply, I would like to take a shot. If you look at that D1 supply on the 4 hours and on the 1 hour, it is very clear. On the 1 hour, it is very clear that we are looking at this area of supply zone. This should be one of the high probability setups as the GBP NZD, just because this was a clear liquidity grab. NZD card. I talked about this a lot. I'm still bullish on it because NZD is still the strongest on my my table. Looking at this is a D1 supply, but on the 4 hours, it is not a clear supply to me. Why? Because this is the high, this is our low. So price may bounce here, of course, but I'll prefer deeper pull into this uh, the 4 hours demand. And I have the NZD JPY. If we look at this, price has been bullish on NZD, but this failed to close below this point, sorry, above that point, and then came in held. What is this market telling me is technically if this holds, price is supposed to break to the upside, and can we consider this liquidity? Yes, this is a high, this is a low, this is a high, this is a low. So these are range. I won't, the only thing I would like to do here is to short due to yen strength. So if there is a change on your 1 hour, 4 hours, the downside, yes, you can take the short to this point for this move. But then if we have this move to the downside, we know that price is supposed to go very low. That's the view. Silver, which was fantastic setup. Remember, I talked about silver. And on the monthly time frame, there is a monthly demand I expected price to mitigate. It's just tapped, not mitigate fully. So there was a G1 supply, monthly supply here, which we expect price to head towards. On weekly, we know that this is our range. Yes, so this is the range we are playing with, which means price is supposed to head lower, as in higher to then get lower. That's the view on the T1 time frame. This is the break. So price mitigated the first rally bearish rally. Going higher, I expect pull back here. I would like to long these points at least to this point, but the main supply is here, and then to short all the way down. But the dollar is weak, so I believe gold silver is supposed to continue higher. But also note, should price pull back from this zone entirely and break the rally base rally, expect price, sorry, there is first demand, I expect price to mitigate this zone and continue higher. The gold is equivalently the same. It's quite interesting if you look at this on the monthly prices at the monthly drop this drop because this is supply zone. It means looking at this on daily weekly we have a supply zone which is the blue line I've just marked. Yes, so I expect price to hit towards that point. As you can see, this was the low created, this was the high, so we expected it to respect. It did not respect, and this zone was never mitigated. But it was a good shot last week. Yes, we took the shots here. Price closed or somewhere here because if you look at this on your internal 15 minutes time frame, that is why to monitor and manage your setups is quite important. We had this low here, so I was right. That's the zone price mitigated. So that's that. So for that we have this high, we have this low, and we are heading towards the supply zone. So I expect if price should go higher and break structure to the downside, we can take that little short. So that's all I've got for the week trade set.